Hey queens, come do a volume fill with me today. First, I'm applying the eye pads and the tape over top of the bottom lashes, and then loosening up the pads so that it's comfortable for the client and doesn't ride up. And here's the primer. I love using primer every single time. I think it helps with the retention, and it also helps removal of the grown out lashes. It just loosens them up a bit, I believe anyways. I do use a pad underneath because I don't want to get any primer in the client's eyes or on the eye pads. Some people like to use 2 sticks, one in the front and back to wipe, but I usually do that with full sets when the lashes are bare. So here is a fill that's about 3 weeks and a couple days, almost 3.5 weeks. It does look like she's lost quite a bit on the ends, but then again, she doesn't have a whole ton of lashes, this client, but she has beautiful lashes. They're strong, thick, and pretty long. That's why she can have such a long size. So now, as I'm removing these grown out ones, notice how I'm grabbing the base of the natural lash, and then I'm just kind of wiggling the lash extension very gently until it comes off. I also twist it sometimes, or any way that it's on, and you'll notice where it's attached when you're taking it off. Sometimes it's really difficult to get them off, so just make sure that you have some really good tweezers that have a great grip, and that you're not pulling too hard or being rough with the lashes, because you don't want to damage her natural lashes or pull them off. Also, if you find that you cannot take it off and it's on there really good, because especially with this wrapping technique, I'm telling you, I just love the wrapping technique because it just hugs all the lashes with every single lash. Look at how much that's grown out. I'm telling you, all these lashes have a mind of their own because they're growing at their own rate. Some of them a lot more than others. So that one was easy to come off. But as I was saying, if there's a lash that's really difficult to get off and you do not want to pull off the natural lash, I suggest grabbing each side of the top and peeling it, even one by one if you have to, those fans, kind of peeling it like a banana until it comes off slowly, and then as you get to like down to a few on there, it should come off okay. Sometimes when you do fills, if your client doesn't have good hygiene, you might have to give her a lash bath before applying any lash extensions, because some clients do wear a lot of makeup and just don't wash them regularly. But just make sure you're teaching them about good hygiene, because that is their responsibility. And when you're in a rush and you have a lot of clients and you don't have a lot of time for a break, there's not always time for these lash baths. So just make sure your clients are washing their lashes regularly, and it'll make your job a lot easier and be a lot better for them too. And always tell them that their retention is going to be so much better if they wash their lashes every day, because we're keeping dirt and oil off of the lashes, and overall just good health. Nobody wants lash mites, and I'll talk about that in another video. So some people have a few different layers of lashes, and I found that out when I started practicing on, real people. I practiced on a mannequin head for so long when I started doing lashes that I didn't realize the mannequin heads that I was using the false lashes on only had 1 row of lashes. Some of these girls, most have 2 rows, some have 3, some even have 4. So everyone's different, and a little slip up there, so I had to put some more tape because I do not like getting stickies, and it's not fun for the client either. Nobody wants you prying out their eyes and pulling stickies off the eye pads, or maybe even lashing bottom lashes by mistake. I've done it. It sucks. Just be really careful when you take them off when it does happen, because it will. So I'm just making sure that I don't miss any lashes. I'm lashing all the medium and long lashes, excluding the baby hairs, because we don't want to lash the baby hairs. We also want to make sure that we have perfect placement, 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter away from the eyelid. And the closer you get, the better, because the lashes won't grow as fast. And I just think the retention will be better, but just never, ever stick an eyelash extension or get any glue on the skin, because immediately will cause a reaction, make your client's eyes very uncomfortable, and also will be very hard for the lashes to grow. Just like if you're not isolating your lashes properly, they're not going to grow properly and be able to breathe, and you will damage them, of course, because it might look like your lashes are lasting a while because they're all stuck together from not being isolated, but they'll just start falling out in chunks in a few weeks. So just make sure you're always isolating the best that you can, and doing this in a single file kind of next to each other, which I will show you properly how to isolate, because anyone could say to separate lashes, but are you isolating them properly where they're not being crisscrossed and they're in a nice row in single file? I know it took me a while to get a hang of it, and yes, I have been doing lashes for 9 years, but it probably took me almost a year to get the isolation down perfect. Even though I wasn't sticking them together, they were just kind of crisscrossy, and then I had lashes growing out in different places underneath others, and it just wasn't ideal. But we'll just make sure that every time you're applying lashes, you're just watching and seeing where you're doing it at first. After a while, you do it so often that you're always putting it in the right place for placement. And I am going slower in this video so that I can show you easier how I'm applying them and how I took them off. But usually I work a lot faster. So I do suggest that you use a glue at first that maybe dries in 2 seconds as opposed to 0.5 seconds, because the glue will dry way too fast for you. By the time you're going to place it on the lash, it will be dry already. And even if it does get on there, the retention will be really crappy because it doesn't have enough time to cure. I personally like slower curing glues because I like to play around and put it in the right place, and then sometimes fix the fans as I'm going, maybe opening them more, but I'm just a perfectionist like that, so not everybody has to do that. So I'm just making sure that I didn't miss any lashes. Always check your work, check for stickies, because sometimes if the glue doesn't dry right away, it could latch onto another lash, and we don't want that. And as you know, most people do like to do lash maps where they mark the pads where the different sizes go. And I used to do that for years, and then after a while I just stopped paying attention to it, and I just learned my own way and started mapping it by the lashes. This is the Super Bonder, which I swear by. It helps the retention by at least 30 to 40%. And also, you're able to get your lashes wet in 12 hours as opposed to 24. So brush those lashes good. Make sure there's no other stray ones in there. And oh, beautiful. She loves them. And I'll see her in 2 to 3 weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all.